is one of the crafts of the ancient Nigeria that is still being practiced in most parts of the country today. It is Nigeria's most cultural material that has caught the attention and interest of early British archaeologists. This ancient craft and other popular Nigerian arts and culture have greatly helped in promoting and putting the country on the world tourism map. Pottery has been the exclusive preserve of women in various cultures of Nigeria and some other parts of Africa, as art started as far back as late Stone Age. We took a journey to Ushafa Pottery Center in the company of Women in Business and Tourism, that is WIBAT, where we were welcomed by the porter, Muhammad A. Yahaya, who led us through the journey of making beautiful and artistic pottery in the country. Our first stop was with Mama, as she is popularly called, who showed us how to make clay pots traditionally. As part of the stages of traditional pottery, Mohammed took us to the fireplace and explained the process. However, as at the time of filing this report, they were done with firing for the day. There were very beautiful artworks to pick from, all done using the traditional pottery method. Not even done with relishing the experience from the traditional pottery making, we had to move to the area where modern pottery was done. The porter explained the process of clay preparation.
In modern pot making, we have, as I told you before, we have different types of clay bodies. So this is bulk clay that we are talking about. So the first thing that potters used to look inside clay is the plasticity. Without that plasticity, you can't produce anything. So it's good for every potter to go and look for a clay that has plasticity and don't be too high. If it's high, it's another problem. But it's better to be high than to be low. Why? Because you can reduce it by adding some raw materials. So you can lowering the high plasticity. Yes, this mesh 60 is very tiny than mesh 40. But the mesh is depends on the work that you want to produce. So this is another mesh. This is mesh 40. Where this one is mesh 60.
So this is smaller. This one is smaller.
This one is tiny
And
than this one.
so that's produced.
One of the difference between the traditional and the modern. In the traditional, they even look for the purities to come and add inside. Why? Because to withstand during production. But in modern, no matter how you produce something, even up to 9 feet, you don't need any purity inside our clay. Why? Because once that's impurity, it will affect your work during the time you work on top of the machine. So by the adding of that carding, it helps the ball clay to stand the temperature, no matter how the temperature is. Where the second firing is about 1,200 degrees centigrade. That's why we Potter are saying that our works are more stronger than the metal.
He moved us to the modern fireplace where he explained the process of using the kiln. Unfortunately, we could not get a first-hand experience as they were done with clay firing for the day as well.
This is the kiln. We use to fire our things, so it has parts and furniture. Yes, it has kiln parts and furniture. This place that you see scatter is the door for the kiln, where you used to upload our waste and offload it during after a fish firing. This is the door of the kiln. So this is the firebox of the kiln. So we also have damper, you can see, and we also have chimney. Chimney is just like exhaust, where the unwanted heat is going out during firing. So this in furniture, we have shelves and props. This thing that you see is a foreign shelf. We just use as a table during firing. Why? Because you cannot just put your works under. Why? Because it can fall during firing. But this thing that you see is very flat. You can keep your work in balance and you continue doing your firing. And you can also use the bricks as a props, as a stand to something like this. So once we finish production inside studio, we leave it to dry on its own. After it dry, we take it to the sun dry. At least we leave it for 2 hours or 3 hours for sun dry. That sun dry is very important. After you finish sun dry, you can just carry it to the kiln, come arrange it here. It depends on the size you arrange it inside.
It was now time to move to the gallery where the clay was to be made into a beautiful piece of artwork. The potter explained the kneading process, and of course, we got our hands dirty while trying the process.
So the kneading process is something that when in a studio pot making, just use this to slide the clay. It's very sharp, more than a razor blade. Yes.
What did you buy? What did you buy? Twine.
Production, you have to know the exact 3 kg that you are dealing with. You have our scale here. This is exactly 1 kg.
Every potter has a connection with the clay, as the clay understands what the potter wants to make. And this we saw as Mohammed treated us to the process of making an amazing pot the modern way.
Produce something. The first thing that you can do after you put your clay on top of something is centering. Yes, you have to put this clay at the center. You understand? So the second thing is punching, where the third thing is pulling. After pulling, then shaping.
A whet appetite is definitely the road to wanting more, and this was exactly the case as we were taken round the gallery to feed our eyes and also take home some souvenirs. The pottery staff revealed that international and local tourists come in intermittently to enjoy the view and the rare talent exhibited by the workers at the pottery. Ushafa Pottery is located in Buari district of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, in Nigeria, and it has been in existence since 1970, when it was commissioned by the then First Lady, Miriam Babangida, in her bid to harness potentials of the community under the Better Life for Rural Women program at the time.